Daybreak Obituaries now brought to you by Curtis and Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg, 256-245-4361 for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremations. It's Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Funeral service for Doyle Wayne Thrash, age 90, of Sylacauga, will be this morning at 11 a.m. from First Presbyterian Church in Sylacauga, with the Reverend Charles Sims officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Memorial Cemetery. Online condolences at curtisandsonfh.com. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Judith Howard died yesterday in Birmingham. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, will announce the arrangements. Amy Giles Rogers, formerly of Sylacauga, residing in Tuscaloosa, died over the weekend, and a funeral service for Amy will be Saturday morning at 11 a.m. from First Baptist Church in Sylacauga. Curtis and Son Funeral Home directing. Visitation for Michael Cato will be Friday from 12 until 2 at Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Childersburg Chapel. Funeral service beginning at 2. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Childersburg Chapel, directing. Visitation for Mr. Grady F. Cobb, age 49, of Sycamore, is today, 1:30 till 2 o'clock at Curtis and Son North. Graveside service will follow at 2 in the Evergreen Cemetery, with Brother Jim Hopkins officiating. Online condolences at curtisandsonfh.com. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Mark Edward Williams, age 60, of Childersburg, died Sunday at his residence. Online condolences at curtisandsonfunerals.com. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Childersburg Chapel, directing. Funeral service for Mrs. Helen Boyd Cotney, age 92, of New Site, is this afternoon at 2 p.m. from New Salem Baptist Church, with the Reverend Tom Drake and Randy Anderson officiating. Burial in the Bethlehem New Salem Cemetery. The family received friends yesterday at the funeral home. Ms. Cotney died Monday, December 6, at Chapman's Healthcare Center. She was a member of the New Salem Baptist Church. Radney Funeral Home, Alexander City, in charge of the arrangements. Memorial contributions can be made to the New Salem Baptist Church, 13930 Highway 22 East, New Site, Alabama, 36256. Radney Funeral Home, Alexander City, directing. Funeral service for Glenn James Culberson, Jr., age 95, of Sylacauga, is today at 1 o'clock from the chapel of Radney Smith Funeral Home. Brother Russell Gooden officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Cemetery. Mr. Culberson died on Monday at his residence. He was a graduate of B.B. Comer High School, class of 1944. He was a member of the Mignon Baptist Church. Visitation this morning from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the funeral home. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to the soup kitchen or to the Mignon Baptist Church Building Fund. Radney Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga, in charge of the arrangements. Cecil Dewey Bubba Green, Jr., age 51, died Wednesday. Talladega Funeral Home directing the service. The family will receive friends Friday, 10:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. at Talladega Funeral Home Chapel for the visitation. Then the graveside service will follow at 2 at Pine Hill Memorial Park in Talladega, with the Reverend George Bishop officiating. Talladega Funeral Home directing. And Linda Jenny McDaniel Noel of Alpine died December 7th at the age of 70. Funeral service will be held 11 a.m. Friday morning at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega. The family will receive friends tonight, 5 until 7 at the funeral home. Ms. Noel was a native of Alexander City but lived in Talladega for nearly 40 years. And in lieu of flowers, memorials can be made to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital or to the Susan G. Cohen Breast Cancer Foundation. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Earth Street Funeral Home in Talladega in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning, courtesy of Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg, Curtis & Son Funeral Home.